House of Kayfabe with Brian Reznor and Stephen P.
Live on location from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Wrestlecade Revenge.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the House of Kayfabe on location right here at Wrestlecade, and I am sitting beside of Nick Aldis. Nick, you don't have the belt anymore. Last time you were on the House of Kayfabe, you were the goddamn champion, and now you're not.
Let me just say this. I anticipated that there would be some sentiment to that effect from the fans, but not to the level that it was. I mean, every person that came by was like, when are you going to be world champion again? I can't believe it. I said, let me get this straight. Everyone was complaining that I had it for too long. And then the second I lose
no,
it,
no,
everyone's
no,
like,
no,
you
no,
got to
no.
have it back.
Everyone was not complaining.
Anybody with some sense knew that your title reign was right up there amongst the greatest.
You've became synonymous with the NWA World Heavyweight Championship now. And you not having it. First question I would have is, how did they pick Trevor to be the guy?
Well, hey, well, look, there's a lot to it, you know. Sure. But I think it was a good combination. Sometimes in the business, you know, it's just timing. You know, sometimes opportunities sort of present themselves, and I think with St. Louis and with all the lineage and with Harley and returning to the chase, you know, we thought this needs a moment. It's, you know, the event in and of itself is going to be special, but it needs a special moment.
It was definitely a special moment, and when I think about, when you think about Nick Aldis having the NWA World title, whoever takes that off of him is going to get a serious rub, and the NWA had to know that. Whoever this guy is going to be is going to get a serious rub from this, and I was just curious I mean, I'm a huge fan of Trevor Murdoch. Not saying that he shouldn't be in that position, but my question is just, how did they come to him and say, this is the guy who's getting that rub?
So, you know, my opinion plays a part in that as well. And so the truth is, he is such a professional. He is such an example in the dressing room to the younger guys. He's just, to me, represents all of the qualities of being a pro wrestler that are sometimes sort of underappreciated in terms of, and a lot of these things are things that are difficult for me to articulate to non-wrestlers. But he's a real leader in the dressing room. Like, he's one of the boys, but he has paid his dues, and he has such an affinity and an appreciation for the history of the business and a classic sort of believable, rugged style that, you know, I've said to him on many occasions, like, we didn't just pick you out of nowhere. You know, he came in with an open mind. We met at, you know, I met Trevor when I did Harley's camp, but I hadn't seen him for years. We'd done some stuff in India together, and I'd sort of bounce around and see him from time to time. But I saw him at Harley's funeral, and obviously we were sort of in the thick of it with the NWA at that point. And it suddenly occurred to me. I just remember looking at him, being like, "Why aren't you here?" Like, you know. And it sort of went from, there'll be a spot for you, and it would be great for you to help teach some of the younger guys, you know, as an agent and producer and stuff. And, you know, his commitment and his work ethic and his delivery, you know, he was such a pro, and he was getting such a great reaction. You go back and watch the first episode of Power that ever aired. He comes out, and it's like, I think it's the first one, or maybe the second episode, but his first appearance on Power anyway, let's say. He walks out, and you can feel the people sort of go, oh, yeah. Like, you could feel this sort of realization of like, oh, he's perfect for this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He has that Harley Race feel.
Yeah, you need to be where you fit. Yeah. You know, like, Steve Austin didn't fit in WCW, but then, you know, then he fit, and you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone, you just got to find your moment where everything kind of lines up and put your foot on the gas, you know, and that's what Trevor did. And you know, for me, it's like, it's a great sort of full circle story.
And the match was phenomenal.
You can't create that.
No.
Like, those circumstances that exist in reality, that to me has always been what I try to look for my stuff.
It's
because
very
I always
organic.
because I always want there to be enough realism to it where people go, well, that is real. Like, that's not they didn't make that up. Like, that is really the thing. because it's just easier then for people to lose themselves in it and suspend their disbelief. And that to me is the most important thing about wrestling, and always will be.
It felt like race and flair.
It really did.
It felt like race
felt like
and flair.
Starcade.
That's kind, and obviously we Trevor and I both kind of cringe at those comparisons because it feels it feels hard for us to sort of acknowledge it, because you're talking about two of the greatest to ever do it. But
we're talking about two of the greatest that ever done it, but you guys are doing it in the same setting, the same company for the same belt, and it just had that feel. I'm not trying to compare you.
No, I appreciate that, and I think that in many ways, one of the reasons why it had the magic that it had is because it's like we are paying homage to those guys.
You are.
I remember seeing the thing on The Last Dance where they interviewed Kobe Bryant, and he's going like, people are always asking me about, me and Jordan, and he's like, no, you guys don't understand, like, whatever you see from me, like, came from him as well.
Right.
And I sort of feel like that for most of the wrestlers of my generation. Like, whatever you're seeing is, like, coming from Rick and coming from guys like Harley, and even further on, like, for me, like, from Brett and from, Sean and Austin, and, it's like, it's all sort of, their influence is a big part of, any of our successes.
It is. It really is. The background noise that you're hearing right now is coming from the tons of raging fans that are right outside the door that have been a part of Wrestlecade weekend all weekend
Nick, you were saying they haven't let up.
We had a healthy line.
They've estimated 8,000 fans through here this weekend.
Wow.
That's pretty incredible for a convention in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. What are your thoughts being here? I got two questions for you. I want to know how you feel being here, interacting with the fans. You and Mickey, of course, you've got your own table out there doing your own thing. How do you feel about that, number one? And number two, going into the new year, 2022, what's that hold for Nick Aldis?
Well, I love Wrestlecade. Wrestlecade's my favorite of the conventions. I think it's because, there's something about the South and the people in the South where it's just a little bit more chill, a bit more laid back, a bit more friendly. I've done some of the conventions in New York, and they can be a little intense. It's kind of like a meat market. It's just sort of sit down, get your stuff, sign this, and get your money and get the hell out. Like, it's very, it's very all business.
It's more personable here.
It's a little more relaxed here, and it feels a bit more, enjoyable. And Winston-Salem's a beautiful town. We have a favorite hotel that we stay at here, and then it's just, and I think that the fact that it's a sort of homage to Southern wrestling, so it's like that has that. And for me now, it's become my favorite event because I always get so much love here, with the Wrestlecade fans because of, I think, of my association with the NWA.
I can't get over your accent saying the word wrestling. It's so perfect, Nick, thank you so much for stopping into the studio here live on location at Wrestlecade. We are glad to talk to you again. As always, the door is always open here at the House of Kayfabe.
Stephen is a good friend of mine personally and professionally. He's a vital advocate to Aldis Enterprises, so anything I can ever do is always gratis.
Yes.
If I'd have just been a lawyer, he'd have been my friend too. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the House of Kayfabe. We will be right back here at Wrestlecade.
He's not lying.
Kayfabe with Brian Reznor and Stephen P.
Live on location from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Wrestlecade Revenge.